Welcome to the fastest stop in town. Today, the Masechtas Bava Kamadav Chav Beis. We're going to begin on the bottom of Chav Aleph on the Beis, 4 lines from the bottom, Tanur bottom. So the Gemara tells us as follows: Hakel v'agadi. If you have a dog or a goat, she dilgu memata lamala, and it is going from bottom up, paturin. In that situation, the din is potter. Why? Rashi says, "Menezek shalom." You don't pay full damage. For an animal to go down up, which is against gravity, doing damage. So in that situation, that's not normal. So therefore, it's considered to be a told of Karen, and that's why you only pay chatzi nezek. It doesn't mean you're potter completely. It's just you're potter from paying full damages. However, milamata, up, down, chayavin. In that case, you will pay full damages. Adam v'tarnagol, she dilgoi, ben milamata, ben milamata l'mal chayavin. It doesn't make a difference if we're dealing with an Adam or a tarnagol. In either direction, you're chayiv, says Rashi. Adam inami lab orche, likfoitz milamata l'mala. Even, let's say, it's not normal for a person to jump from down up, chayiv. De'ein ba'adam sad tomus. The whole notion of sad tomus, of evaluating the animal, is only by an animal. When it comes to a tarnagol, it is normal for it to climb up and to do all these things up, down, up. Everything is considered to be orche for him, just by the nature of that particular species. Okay, as we continue, Chav Beis Manalv, Avosanya Kelvin Kadi Shadilgoi Ben Momalamata Ben Momata Lamal Paturin. It says when it comes to a Kelvin and Gadi, you're putter in both cases, not just going up, but also up, down. So Tirgma Papa, the Apech Mepach Kalba Bezrika, Begadya Besricha. So if let's say we're dealing with that the animals did the opposite of what it normally would do. A dog is bezrika. The dog took a leap, and the gedi besricha. It used its claws into the walls. So since this is not considered to be normal, it's mishuna, so you don't pay full damages. Which again we saw in Rashi, doesn't mean you're completely potter. Mishuna, you pay chatzi nezek. Okay, fine. So again, it all depends on if the animal is engaged in an act which is mishuna. So then the dinim would be you pay only chatzi nezek. Okay. 2 dots. Itmar. So we have a machlokas Rav Yochanan Rish Lakish. Rav Yochanan Omer, when it says a kelev shenatal, so you have the dog took a charara, a hot biscuit, and it put it onto a gedish, and it burned up the field, the silo. So you pay nezek shalim on the food, because that's shein. However, when it comes to the gedish, you only pay chatzi nezek. So in this, Rav Yochanan says, Ishu mishum chitzai. The whole notion of the fire it's the same thing as like shooting an arrow. When you shoot an arrow, Rish Lakish says that a fire is like it's your property. It's like your boar that did damage. Rashi says, the difference between if it's mishum mamoy and mishum chitzai, in the following case, if you use a coal which is not yours, Rav Yochanan chayiv the chitzavein. Even though it's not yours, it's your arrows. So therefore you're chayiv. Maybe you're only chayiv if it's your money. So if it's not your property, if it's a kachelas that belongs to someone else, and that animal took this kachelas that belonged to someone else and did damage, so you'd be potter. Of course, that's not the maskana. Fine. So why does he say it's the notion of arrows? So when it comes to arrow, that's coming from your strength. You pull the bow and the arrow shoots out. When it comes to the fire, it's not really your strength, because the fire is going on its own and it can burn something very, very, very far away. So how can you call that really your kayach? Therefore, the truth is, fire is not arrows. Rav Yochanan, my Tamil Krish Lakish. Why does he say it's an issue of mamoin? So Amulach mamoina is b'mamasha. When it comes to something which is yours, it has some substance to it. However, lays b'mamasha. However, when it comes to a fire, it has no substance. Says Rashi, Deshal hevasi hamachzekas she'in lo mamish shilkach ki chayvi rachman mishum chitzav huda mechayve. Mammon is something which is mine. I own an asset, so it's by virtue of it being called mammon. It has to be something like money, that it has value. It's something which is also here. Fire is not something which has mamashus, so therefore you can't compare the two. Okay, so again, right now we have a machlokas Reish Lakish Rav Yochanan. If one says fire is like money or like arrows, okay, it's not. So we learned in our Mishnah that Now what happened? You have the animal that's carrying the coal, this food rather. In the food, he's chayv nesek shalom, but not on the gedish. Now, Bishalman Yamar Ishim Mishum Chitzav, that the fire is like arrows, so Chitzav the Kelavu. It's like the arrow of the dog. And therefore, that's the reason why you're chayv. Now, Man Yamar Ishim Mishum Mamoinus, your property, Ha'esh La Mamoinu, the Baal Kelavu. It's not considered to be your fire. So, Amalach Reish Lakish Hachamay Skinan, the Adia Duye. We're talking about where the animal threw the coal onto the gedish itself. When it comes to the charara, the food that it ate, this hot biscuit, you pay full damages, which doesn't seem to be hard to understand. The chiddush here is the place of the coal, says Rashi, makam shenafel of gachel sham, that very place where the coal fell, there you pay chatzi nezek. V'al gedish kuli potter. However, the rest, you're going to be potter, because, as we said, it's not considered to be mamoinai, and therefore you're not going to be chayiv. You're only going to be chayiv on where he actually threw, the place where he threw the coal onto. There you'll pay chatzi nezek, because that's considered like sroiros. Fine. However, the gedish itself, you're potter, says Rashi, ish mishum mamoinai, v'hayla mamonahu. It's not your mamoin, the fact that it burned. They took a fire by itself. Okay. So therefore, that's how Reish Lakish will answer it. That we're talking about, it was thrown onto the area, and therefore, on that makoim, it's like your pei chatzi nezek. The fire that spread, since it's not mamoin, you don't pay anything. Yal gedish kuli potter. Yochanan the ancha nuche al chara. So the ancha nuche. Says Rashi, Rabbi Yochanan, it's your arrows, mokimla bid ancha ki orche. It was actually put down, it wasn't thrown, it was done normal way. Tial charara nezek shalom deshenhi. So certainly when it comes to the eating the charara, that's told of shane, that's therefore you're going to be chayiv to pay nezek shalom. But makom gachel as nezek shalom, also the place where it was put down is full damages, the orchehu, because that's the normal way. Uviyadayim avad. And it did it with its own hand, with its own doing. And therefore, the place where it was put down, it would also pay nezek shalom. Says the Gemara, Dian chanuche al charar be'al makom gachels misham nezek shalom, al gedish misham chatzi nezek. So again, according to this, he holds it sroiros. Therefore, you're going to be chayiv chatzi nezek. So there, when it comes to the charara, it's definitely paying nezek shalom. The question is, if it was thrown, so therefore that place is nezek, chatzi nezek, and the rest is nothing, because it's not your mamoin. Or do we say that no, it was placed down, which is orche, and therefore you pay nezek shalom on that, and you pay chatzi nezek on the rest? Question 8. Hakel shenat l'charara v'halach l'gadish, v'al gadish misham chatzi nezek. Madua misham rak chatzi nezek. So according to Rabbi Yochanan, makom hanyuach misham nezek shalom v'al shar gadish chatzi nezek, the eish misham chitzav. Says the fire is like arrows. The fact that it was thrown there, it's like sroiros. That it was thrown over there. Mishalim al makom gachelas chatzi nezek misham sroiros yashar gadish potter. Okay, so that's answer number 8. Okay. Shalom chatzi nezek. Tashma. Gamal. Ta'un pishtan. So you have a donkey that has flax on it. The over Rishus Harabim, and it's going in the Rishus Harabim with this huge bundle. Nechnasa pishtan l'tayich hachanos. This is more in Shabbos. And let's say someone's pishtan entered into a store, and there's fire, there's candles in the store. V'dalku b'neiroi shel chenveni. Let's say this pishtan got lit up. V'likas abiru, and it burnt down the building. Bal gamal chayiv. In that case, the Bal gamal is chayiv for being in that proximity, and therefore he's chayiv for the building being destroyed. Haniach chenveni neirum b'mechutz. But if the candle is outside, chenveni chayiv. Then the store owner is going to be chayiv because he should have had it on the outside by the Rishus Harabim. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Ner Chanukah potter. When it comes to Ner Chanukah, we make an exception because a person, it's a mitzvah to put it outside in the Rishus Harabim for pursuing Nisa, and therefore on Chanukah it should have been known, the owner of the Gamal, that there be a candle outside, and therefore in that situation the owner of the Chenveni who puts the candle out there will be potter from damage. Thing with arrows, chitz of the Gamalhu. So therefore we're dealing with like the arrows of the camel, because the camel who has this pishtan, it did damage and caused a fire. Why should he be chayiv? This fire doesn't belong to him. Where it burned the entire place. Says Rashi, Shagamal oiver b'fnei al kol habira, that the animal went through the entire area, and it burnt it up. So it's comparable to this, as we said before, according to the Shita of Reish Lakish, Rav Yochanan, that it was actually, the chorah was placed on that place, so Makam Gachelas, you pay Nezek Shalom. So over here, it was like touching the entire thing, that's the reason why you pay Nezek Shalom. So v'i b'masach seches am I chayiv? Why should he be chayiv in this case? Kishamda, when he stood still, when it stood still. So Rashi Amad Hagamal bim kaimai. It stayed in its place, and therefore that was the issue. So where it says 1 second, Amda v'sichsacha, if it stood in one place, kol shekein dechen b'ni potter ubal gamal chayiv. Certainly he should be chayiv in that situation. So how to understand? So Rav Huna bar Menayach mishmei Rav Ika hachmai skina kikon she'amdo lahatel meimeha, that the animal was oisik in an einus because it stopped in order to be able to relieve itself, and therefore that is the reason why if it stood, that we're not going to say the Baal Gamal is going to be chayiv in that case. As we continue Chav Beis and Beis. Reisha, Baal Gamal chayiv. So the Reisha, we said the owner of the donkeys, of the camel's chayiv, because it brought the pishtan into this person's store. Doloi iboyule lafushe batina, because it shouldn't have all this load and end up going into the store. Seifa chenvini chayiv. The store owner is chayiv because they had the candles outside. Doloi iboyule lanuchi ner meavroi, because again he shouldn't have had his candles in the outside area. Okay. Let's see. We have another question here. Lafi Reish Lakish. This is Rabbi Gibber. Hadetani Shakelav Natal Charara Behidakas Kadesh Misham Chatzi Nezek, Alma Misham Chatzi Nezek, Almakam Gacheles Kishizarach Esagacheles. Lafi Rav Yochanan, Alma Misham Chatzi Nezek, you pay Chatzi Nezek Al Kol Hagadish Kishizarach Esagacheles. Okay. What else did I write over here? Question 7. So it lit up the whole building by by touch. Maskana oimed me meha. The Baal shouldn't have overloaded it b'misach seches. Okay. TA, no. Question TB11. This is going to be Chav Beis and Aleph. Hakelev, and this sounds like the same question as question 8. So I'll put this in parentheses. TB11. So it says, the dog that took a charora v'heniach begadish kama mishalim bal kelev al gadish. So we're machlokas Rav Shlokish Rav Yochanan. Im ishu mishum chitzyav mishum amoinai. Im chitzuv, if it's because of arrows, oz chayiv al makoim shigachelas nafal. The place itself, you pay nezek shalom. The al gadish, you only pay chatzi nezek. But l'mandim mishum amoino ein chayiv al hagadish. V'hu chayiv rak im nosen biyadayim es hagachelas al oso makom shu chayiv v'lo b'makom acher. Okay, I think that was very well said. Okay, weiter. Tashma. Hamadlik es a gadish. Person lights up this what's called a field. V'hay gadi kofaslo, and you have a gadi which is tied around. Which basically the gadi is trapped over there, and it can't get out. The eved samachlo, and they also have an eved nearby. The nisraf imo chayiv. So if they got burned up, you're chayiv. And Rashi says a gadi v'gadish. You're only gonna be chayiv for the gadi and the gadish. It's not your fault we're going to Evid. Evan was not tied up, apparently. If that's the case, he shouldn't have died. He should have just run away. So therefore, you're only going to be chayiv on the gadi and on the gadish. Evid kafus, let's say the person was tied up, lo gadi, lo, gadi samachlo v'nisraf imo potter. Why are you potter? A gadi v'gadish. Why are you potter on the gadi and the gadish? To come with Rabbi mina. If you kill an Eved, it's a capital offense, and therefore you're going to be potter from damages because you're Chai Misa. It says Rashi, V'afagav the bigdi ein loimer hayul of royach shahari ein lo das v'im einu kofas samach nami chayev. So you can't say that if the gadi was samach loy that it should have run away because a gadi doesn't have das. Now, we're dealing with arrow, mishum hachi potter. That's the reason why you're potter, because it's your arrows, it's your chai misa for killing this eved. Amai potter. So why should be potter? Ilu kato turiavda. If let's say you would have killed the ox, the eved's ox, hachinam b'nol machayev, you're not going to have to pay any money for that. So Rav Shimon ben Lakish hachmai skinan. That you set the body of the Eved on fire. That you mamish killed him. And the Kamei but Rabbi Minei says it didn't come with Rabina. What's the chiddush? Obviously you're going to be potter because there's Kimli Rabina. Osricha bigadi the chad the Eved the chad. If they belong to two different owners, says Rashi. This is Hashmina, the Avgav, the Einchai Misa B'Shvil Hagadi, Master Balgadi. So the Balgadi is going to lose out anyway, because the guy is being sentenced to death. Okay. Tashma. Kashalechas Abeiram, person who sends a fire, we had this in Kedushin, regarding Shlichus, B'Yad Cheresh of Katan, among these people who are considered to not have Das, Patim B'Din, the Adam V'Chai B'Dei Shemayim, the Pishal Man, the Amishim Mishum Chitzoi, that's like arrow chitza the chereshu. So since it's chitza the cheresh, so and that's the reason why you should not be chayiv. Elmandi b'di adam. Elmandi armi yishim mishim amayno ilu maser shar cheresh shar v'kat. If you give a short to these people, hachanam b'dol machayiv, certainly it would be. Says Rashi, chaymer b'shomer b'eish im masel cheresh chayiv. So Hayit Marla Maresh Lakish Mishmei Dechizki Lo Shana Ella. We only say this Kishim Maser Lo Gachelas Valiba. If once you gave him a coal and the cherish starts blowing on it. Says Rashi, Hacherish Lo Dami Lashor. To shore Mizuman Lahazik. A shore is intended to do damage. It's the cherish that did it. But instead, if you gave him a torch, then you're going to be chayav because it could do damage right away. So my time, because bar hazeka. Rabbi Yochanan Rafil shall have his potter. Even if you would give a torch, why? So Rabbi Yochanan says Rashi l'tamei there me'ishim shum chitzay v'hacha chitz of the cherishain. That's why you're potter. Except Savta the cherish kagarm. It's like his kayach. Gavza tsilta usharga. You're only going to be chayiv if you give. Rashi says gavza eitzim yaveshim, dry wood, v'silta eitzim katanin dakim, small pieces of wood, usharga on a flame. Otherwise, it's considered to be the kayach of the cherish. Amra v'kram asnisim asayle. I have a pasuk and also a statement that will support. Rav Yochanan Krok the chsiv kisei te'esh. When the fire goes out, teitzi me'atzma, goes out by itself. Yishalom hamaver sabeira. Shmamina yishim mishum chitzam. It's clear that it has to do with arrows. Says Rashi, ve'ish halchal ma'atzma, went by itself. Yafil halchi kari maveres beira. It's considered like it still destroys someone else's property. Kil hedlik ma'atzma. It's like you did it yourself. Al ma'ishim mishum chitzay. Masnisin. How do we see like a Mishnah? The Sanya. Pasach HaKasav, as we continue Chaf Gimel and Aleph, Peniski Mamayno, as the pasuk says in Rashi, Yisei Eish, the Mashma Me'atzma went up by itself, Asim Peniski Gufo, where he actually made the fire, the Kari Le Mavir, Lormuch Ishim Mishum Chitzav, to tell you that fire has the din of arrows. Okay, again, we're going to stop there. But we're not going to be done with this. But again, it's the basic machlokas right now, Rabbi Yochanan, whether or not fire has the din of arrows, the din of mamlin. Now let's see maybe a couple more Rabbi Gibber questions here. Uman Yomer Matay Hechayev Bagamal Shehu Tain Pishton. Okay, I did that. Hamadlik Es Hagadish Bahaya Evid Kofaslo. Potter al Gadish, Ba'er. So why, if the Evid is tied up, are you potter on the Gadish? So if it's because of Chitzav, it's because of your fires like arrows, you're potter since you killed this person, and we say come with Rabina because it was your Kayach. So the fire, if it's like, if it has the same din as arrows, it's like you're shooting it, and therefore that's the reason why you're potter on the Gadish, on the Gadish, because it's coming Rabina. Or if it's because of Mamayno, so you're potter because coming Rabina. And it's teaching the Chiddush, even though the Gedi and Evid belong to separate people, you're still going to be potter. Okay. Ma Darsha Hagamar Menachsib Kisei Te'esh Yishalom Neboy Mabaras Bira. It's Pasha, we hold like Rav Yochanan, the Eish is arrows, Chitzav. Since even though the flame goes by itself, you're still called Mavir, and you're Chayev. Okay. Let's see maybe another question or two. Nothing on here. TA 10 maybe. Hamadakas Gadish, Vahaya Evid Kofus. Okay, this is what we had already. You have an Evid which is tied up. Ugadi samachlo ha'im chayav al gadi fagadish. So we said you're potter. So mandiyar mishum eish mishum kaicho achitzav your potter because of the kimun ramina. However, lemandiyar mishum amoino you're still chayav. Avatzias begufa shel Evid l'kol yama potter. And in the event where it's the Evid himself that does it, so in that situation you're definitely going to be that Tziyas shel Evid rather. That you set the goof of the Evid on fire, then everyone holds that's a din of Kimur B'Rabina. Ad Khan.